Hey you guys, hope you're all doing well. Welcome to the Sunday prep rally. This is where we bang out our Sunday meal prep together. Okay, we're in this together. We're baking out 9 staples for the week today. Sounds like a lot, I know, don't get intimidated. Set your kitchen up, just set yourself up with all the little stations. So I have my sweet potatoes here, I'm working on my meat here, I'm doing the vegetables there. Get out all your baking dishes, every single ingredient you need so that this prep rally can be super productive. We go from one thing to the next. Everything is written out in its order. We have all the recipes. Head to prepandrally.com. Be sure to head to the meal prep download tab. Log in with your credentials. If you are not yet a member, head to prepandrally.com. Be sure to subscribe. We're doing a free month promo. So you can try it out for a month before you are charged the following month if you stay on. So be sure to take advantage of that month. See if it works for you. If it doesn't, you could cancel anytime. We're going to get started here. We have an amazing prep rally. This week's menu is sponsored by Bubby's Pickles. These are literally my favorite pickles. I was so excited to partner with them on this menu and incorporate them into our amazing dill pickle sauce for our salmon. It's just the best pickle because it's classic, it's homey, it's just the best dill pickle out there. They don't mess around. It's simple ingredients, but they do it so right. So be sure if you want to get that specific pickle for your dill sauce or just in general, be sure to check out the store locator on their website, on the Bubby's Pickles website, so you can see where they sell them in your area. They're amazing. I am addicted. Okay. So we are making a beef and broccoli with cauliflower rice today, tofu and vegetable bowls with a tahini sauce, pickled salmon with dill pickle sauce. And you'll notice that the salmon we are serving later on in the week. That is because the pickled salmon, the longer it sits to pickle, the better it gets, right? That's kind of how pickled things work. So that works beautifully for our meal prep because normally we do salmon or any kind of fish at the beginning of the week, but here, the longer you wait, the better, and it's preserving it. So don't worry that it's like sitting for a couple days. It gets better with time, I promise you, and it's safe. Roasted Brussels sprouts with sweet potato, shakshuka with tahini sauce, and roasted vegetables. So as always, even I make modifications. So today I'll show you some different things that I'm swapping in, things that my local grocery store had, and just making my life easier so I don't have to go to 3 different stores. Just figure out another thing that you would want to make in place of that. So, or just switch it up just depending on what you or your family enjoys, okay? So let's get to it. We're gonna get started and we're gonna bang this out quickly. I don't wanna be here all day either, so we're gonna do this together. We're in it as a squad, we get through it, and the rest of the week is just gonna be so good. I promise you, so stick with it. Set yourself up, be sure you have your garbage next to you, have a towel handy and nearby, okay? Grab your water. I'm drinking some path water today. So be sure you have everything set up so you can set yourself up for success and to just do this as quickly as possible. You'll save time in the end if you just lay it all out. Let's do this, okay? This is week 33. Boom, let's do it. First thing is the easiest thing. So we just have some sweet potatoes here on a baking sheet, throwing them in the oven. You could wrap each individually with tin foil. I'm not. I may just like prick them a little bit. You don't really have to, but if you want to just prick them a little, never hurts. But wrap them individually if you want this to go a little bit faster. But we're just gonna throw them in a 425-degree oven. Let them do their thing, okay? So you already banged out one dish. Sweet potatoes, 425, get her done, all right? All we have left is 8 more items. Let's do it. We have the Brussels sprouts. Either you were to buy pre-shaved Brussels sprouts. My store didn't have them. I was not going to sit there shaving them myself because that takes forever and it takes forever to clean them. And I was just not in the mood for that. So, green beans, okay? Any dish works. We're gonna be using them as a side dish for our salmon dinner. And then they're also gonna be going into that shakshuka, or you can even serve them as a side dish with shakshuka. Totally your call, do your thing. All we're gonna do is season with some salt, pepper, kind of a staple here in the Prep and Rally test kitchen. All we do, gotta open up your oil before you use it. So many times we just roast simple vegetables, and that is how we keep this prep rally so quick and easy, because we just throw things in the oven with some olive oil, salt, and pepper, give it a good roast, and then throughout the week, that's when you're incorporating it into new dishes or putting an amazing dressing over it. So it's just such a productive way of cooking for the week. And then all week long, you just have like anywhere between 2 to 20 minutes, you get dinner on the table. All right, give your hands a little rinse off. And guess what we're gonna do with those green beans, friends? We're gonna throw them in the oven, okay? In the oven we go. Same exact oven. It's going to be in there for like 30 minutes or so. And then the sweet potatoes will be there for longer. It'll be like an hour. But it really just depends on the size of your sweet potato and if you've covered it in tin foil or not. So adjust accordingly. Only 7 items left. Banged out 2. Easy, okay? You know what? Set your timer so that we don't forget about it. So I'm setting it for 30 minutes and I'm gonna check my green beans, check your either green beans or your Brussels sprouts, whichever you are making. All right, 2 items done. Next, we're gonna work on our pickled salmon, okay? So I have some salmon in my pot here. Set it to the side. I'm making half of the amount of the salmon, but use as much or as little as you think your family will enjoy. And you could use onions here, but I really like using leeks. I find leeks to just be so delicious, really mild, they're so yummy. And either you could serve your salmon with the leeks or you could remove them and let it just simply season it in the pickling liquid, or you could actually serve it with the salmon. But it's so good. And pickled salmon, my mother-in-law actually makes this all the time. I've always loved it. And I was like thinking recently, like this would be such a great meal prep item because the longer it sits, the better it gets. And normally we're limited and we need to serve fish at the beginning of the week on a Monday. But this is better the longer you let it sit. So like ideally you let it sit for 48 hours and it's so flavorful. The longer it gets to pickle, the better it gets. So you're just gonna throw your leeks over your salmon. And then all we're gonna do is just take some water and cover the leeks. You just want to cover the entire surface with water. So just go up until where the leeks end, okay? So fill it up with water. And if you've never pickled salmon before, I was also kind of new to this approach, but it is so delicious. You're basically cooking the salmon, and then once it's cooked, you're taking it out and putting it in a bowl, which we're going to be using just any big bowl that'll hold the amount of salmon that you have. Have that standing by, and that is what we're gonna put our pickling liquid in, and then the cooked salmon we're gonna take from here, remove it from the water, and pour it into the pickling liquid. It's gonna sit there and pickle for 2 days, and it's gonna be so good. Okay, trust me on this one. You serve it cold, and it's absolutely delicious. You're gonna love it. So I have a bowl here. You could do like a large container. You could do it in like a Pyrex. It's totally your call. So we are going to mix together our pickling liquid. So all we're going to do is just whisk some ingredients together. All right. So most people have ketchup at home. If you're going lighter on the sweetener, you could just do the ketchup and not do the maple syrup, which we're going to be using. I'm also not doing as much salmon, so I'm going to just like reduce the amounts a little bit, but this is so easy. You're literally boiling this for like, once it comes to a boil, you'll boil it for like 10 minutes or so. So put it on high heat and let it come to a boil because you want that salmon to be fully cooked through. And then we're going to throw it in here and it's just going to sit there and absorb all those amazing flavors the rest of the time it's pickling. Okay. We have our ketchup in here, our maple syrup. I just put it in. We're going to put in some water just to create more of a liquid. Okay, I have my pickling spice here, and you could buy a store-bought pickling spice. I'm just using bay leaf, cinnamon stick, coriander seeds, and peppercorns. It smells so good. You could also do mustard seed, clove, totally whatever you like or whatever you have in your kitchen, or just use a pickling spice. You could also put it in like a cheesecloth to keep it all together, but I'm just throwing it right in here. And then when I serve the salmon, you just want to make sure that no one's actually biting into these spices. They're just here to help pickle, not to actually consume them. So be sure that if you are not using a cheesecloth, just be careful that when you are serving it, nobody actually eats these because it's not going to be very good. Okay, and yum. So good. So I have the maple, I have the ketchup, I have the water. Now we're going to add some vinegar, and then it's going to really start to smell like pickles. Yes. That smells so good. Okay, so bring your salmon to a boil, and then it'll boil for about 10 minutes or so, and then all we do is mix it into this pickling liquid that we've mixed. You could even season it with a little bit of salt, because we're not really doing that here, but totally throw some salt in there. Never hurts, right? give it a little pinch of salt, and give it a little mix around. Okay. Easy. Set this aside. Once this is done boiling, we'll let it boil for about 10 minutes or so, and then we'll throw it in here. Okay? Cool. Awesome. Super easy. Next up, yeah, and then once you put it into that pickling liquid, it's just gonna sit there and let cool. Once it's totally cool, give it a cover, put it on a tight lid, and then just sit it in your fridge for 2 days. It's gonna be so good. Okay? Next, we have our tofu, which we're gonna get in the oven as well. I'm probably gonna wait, I'm gonna have it ready and standing by. If you don't have a second oven, you need to wait for your green beans or your Brussels sprouts rather to come out of the oven before being able to put your tofu in. But let's start preparing it, have it ready, standing by, so that when one comes out, we're ready to throw the next one in. So I've just, as you see, tofu comes in that little box, that kind of container. So I put some parchment paper down because I'm gonna be cooking it on that ultimately, but I put down a towel. Put down a towel over that parchment. I just wanted to absorb a lot of that moisture. This towel is completely soaked through because tofu is like a little sponge and it holds a ton of water. So I put that down so it can absorb that water, and now that these are nice and dry, you want it to be dry so it can get nice and crispy in the oven. I'm taking that off. This goes in the laundry. So much more eco-friendly than using paper towel. You just throw it in laundry and you're done. So here I have some parchment paper lined baking sheet, and all we're gonna do is cut up our tofu. My kids are obsessed with tofu. If you've never tried tofu on your kids, go at it. It's literally like pasta. It's just like such a simple flavor. Kids love it. I buy extra firm tofu. This one today actually was just firm, but I really prefer extra firm. I find it holds a lot better. It's not as fragile. So try to get extra firm whenever you can. And my kids just love it with some salt and olive oil, roasted. You can even fry it if you want, but it's just kind of messier. Roasting it is super simple. And you know what I like to do as well? Instead of drizzling it with the regular olive oil, especially if you're counting calories or you want to reduce the amount of fat that you're consuming, get like an olive oil spray. Spray the bottom. So I spray the baking sheets so you don't have to flip them. So this way, the bottom of all the tofu is getting crispy, crunchy with that oil on the bottom. Okay, so you don't need to flip them. It's just gonna get nice and golden brown on the bottom as well because you've oiled it. And then I just cut them into these like little sticks in a way. See, they're like a little stick. And the way I do that, that oil is going up my throat. Okay, so you take your little cube of tofu, and I'm just gonna cut it down the center. So just down the center of it so that you have two like rectangles, and then stack them on top of each other. Then we're gonna cut them lengthwise into little sticks. So see, it's like this. Just cut them into maybe 1, 2, cut like 3 different cuts, and then you end up with 8 little tofu sticks. So my kids like them in cubes and sticks. Whatever the way your kids like them, go at it. But it's great. It's such a yummy protein. My kids are actually obsessed. Like whenever I say I made tofu for dinner, they flip out. It's kind of weird, I know. You're probably thinking like you have the craziest kids, but your kids are gonna be amazing eaters. I promise you. Keep at this program and you're gonna train those little taste buds to enjoy real good food. I promise you, it worked for me, it could work for you. And I know it because Jolie was a pickier eater. If she could have a yogurt or cereal for dinner every single night, she would. But guess what? Mama Bear says no. And we always have really good food ready to eat, and we always have a variety of food. So even if you didn't want to go with the actual Prep and Rally menu schedule for the week, and you wanted to serve this one Chinese, the Chinese beef and broccoli one night, when the other kid wants salmon, you could totally go about it that way. Just kind of use everything in the fridge with like different options for everyone because it's all prepped and ready to go. Or go according to the menu every night that I lay out. At the end of the day, this is your prep. I say that all the time. Like, this is your menu. You're paying for your food. It's whatever you want to take out of this. So be sure you're saving all your menus. Be sure you're getting creative with it, custom tailoring it to meet your needs, modifying the menus, shopping for things that you want. So if your kids don't like Brussels sprouts, do the green beans or do whatever you like. The beef and broccoli, if you want to use tofu instead, by all means. It's so your call. Roasted vegetables, throw in any vegetables you want. It's totally up to you. There's a lot of wiggle room with these recipes because we're not baking. So it's not like, oh, can I take out the baking powder? I would say, hells nah, because it's gonna ruin it. Baking is more precise in that way, which is why I don't like baking. I like being able to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, using what I have, not being so restricted in what I can or can't do. Call me stubborn, but I don't like to be told what to do. I like to be able to just improvise and also just be creative. It makes you have more fun in the kitchen when you can really put your own spin on it. You do it with love, it's fun. I'm literally in an olive oil spray. Dying. Okay, I'm gonna put this next to the oven so it's all ready to go when the green beans come out in like 20 minutes. All right, so all I did is just sprayed the sheet pan, put your tofu on top, and then I sprayed the tops of it. You wanna get all sides of the little tofu sticks. They're gonna go in the oven, you're gonna cook them. It's gonna be so easy, and you're gonna cook them for like 40 to 45 minutes or so until they're cooked through. All right, look at that. We're on our 5th item already. Do you believe it? Let's bang this thing out. So, more sheet pans. If you are new here, first of all, welcome. We've had a lot of new subscribers, so super exciting to welcome you all here. We do things in a really fun way, so I really hope you see the benefit here and that you're able to enjoy your week because it's changed my life, it's changed a lot of other people's lives, so I hope you love it. But if you are new here, be sure to get a lot of sheet pans. They really come in handy. We use them all the time. These extra large sheet pans that are linked on my Instagram, on my website. I'm obsessed with them. They hold so many vegetables, and we roast things all day long here. So definitely a good investment. So we're gonna make some roasted vegetables. They're gonna serve as a side dish for one of the meals, and they're also, no, not a side dish, sorry. They're gonna go in that bowl, I think. And then they're also going in the shakshuka later on in the week. You could choose any vegetables that you like. Instead of the thinly shaved carrots, I happen to have had these rainbow carrots at home, wanted to use them up, so I just peel them and cut them up. But if you could get pre-chopped carrots or those carrot chips that are already ready to go, that's so much easier. I have 1 pepper here. So to cut a pepper, all I do is I just sharpen my knife. If you have a knife sharpener, use it because it'll make you so much happier in the kitchen. Wow, I haven't done this in so long. And it's just so much more enjoyable to cut with a sharp knife. And you're more likely to cut yourself on a dull knife than a sharp knife. I promise you, because you're sawing and you're slipping. So just trust me. Either go to a place, get your knife sharpened, or use what I use, like a little thing like this, where you put it through 2 different slits. This is by the Schmidt Brothers. I also have this one. Okay, so you put it through the coarse side first, and then you run it through the fine side, and it takes 20 seconds, not even, and it makes such a huge difference. Okay, so we have our little pepper shell. And then you can cut it any way you want. I'm just cutting it into some little pieces. And just throw it on, okay? And your carrots, I mean, I cut them a little big, so if there are any that are like really way too big, they're definitely gonna take a little bit longer than the zucchini, which is why I said to get those carrot chips because they're thinner, so they will cook at the same time as everything else here. The way I cut them are just like a little too big. So just a good tip for life in general. Whenever you're roasting different things together, try to make sure they're the same size. So if you're, roasting a lot of chicken, like the chicken wings are gonna cook a lot faster than other things. So if you can separate them out, do that so that you don't dry out one, And same with vegetables. So if you have 2 different types of vegetables, carrots or any kind of root vegetable, those take longer to cook. So just try to make everything as even as possible so that they all cook at an even rate, and otherwise you'll end up with like some burnt, some raw, you know the drill. Salmon is smelling really good. Actually, I know it sounds weird because it's boiling in water, but it's actually smelling really yummy. Let that go. I'm gonna lower the boil a tiny bit, let it go for a few more minutes, and then once it's totally firm, what you can do is just gently like move it around a little bit just so that they don't stick to the bottom or stick to each other. Be very gentle here, okay? All right, let it keep going. A few more minutes, and then we're gonna pull all this out of the water and put it right into our pickling liquid and let it sit there for the week, okay? So with my zucchini, I'm just cutting it like in half lengthwise and then into little pieces again. But try to, again, keep the size of the vegetables all pretty similar. And this could be any vegetable you want, honestly. this is my favorite way to clean out a fridge by the end of the week. But you could do it at the beginning of the week as well. So whatever you have in the fridge looking to get rid of, literally cut it up, throw it on a sheet pan, and boom, you have like a beautiful like veggie medley. And you could throw it in anything, like a shakshuka, or in a frittata, or put on a pizza. So that's the purpose of this, is just to like get really, really creative in the kitchen. Know how to repurpose things. That's the main purpose of this. It's not just, you know that line, like if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, but if you give him a fishing rod, he'll eat for his whole life. So it's kind of like that. It's like, I'm not just like a Blue Apron here giving you one meal for the night and telling you, put this in here, do this, do that. I want you to see where the creativity comes from, to see how we're repurposing things. And then next time, maybe you have roasted vegetables left over. Maybe you have some leftover grilled chicken. You'll know, ooh, I remember we put it into an egg roll last time to repurpose it and give it new life. Or, you know, whatever you, like I think it was last week where we made that pineapple chicken. I had tons of grilled chicken left over from my barbecue. I just threw that leftover grilled chicken into my pineapple chicken to give it new life without having to use that new chicken. So I saved a ton of money there, and you reduced food waste. So it's pretty awesome. And you were super creative by thinking to do that, and you wouldn't have necessarily thought of that before. So that is the essence of prep and rally, my friends, in case you didn't know. Okay, setting this aside also, standing by. So for when everything else comes out, you could throw this in. If you have 2 ovens, get on that and throw it all in at the same time, even better, okay? And even the sweet potatoes, if you only have 1 oven, I have time right now, but the sweet potatoes, instead of putting them on a sheet pan, you could roll, just wrap them in tin foil and throw them into your oven rather than wasting a whole rack for them, like on a sheet pan. So that's another idea of something you could do as well, because that way you could put, you know, the tofu in at the same time, have the sweet potatoes on the side of the tofu, just thrown in there, and yeah, and then have the green beans on the bottom. All right, so now we're gonna make beef and broccoli. So my kids and Mike, we all love Chinese food, but obviously it's not always the healthiest option. So it's nice to have, you know, a healthified version. So we are making one, and it's gonna be really good, and you're gonna love it. So the first thing we're gonna do is make our sauce ingredients, okay? And if you wanted to use tofu here, if you wanted to use seitan, if you wanted to use, you know, like strips of chicken, it's totally your call. I have like flank steak here, or like fajita meat, it may be called. You could use any meat you like. Then we have our broccoli, and then all of our sauce ingredients, which we're gonna start putting into our bowl. So all the normal suspects, like a soy sauce and sesame oil, ginger powder. If you have fresh ginger, you could use that as well. Arrowroot or cornstarch is going to thicken this and make it real nice and taste like traditional Chinese food. Okay? So, 1 more minute on that. Let's make our sauce and then we'll pull that out. So we have our soy sauce. So in a small bowl, you're just going to add all these ingredients. Okay? Then we're going to fry up the beef. Okay, get it nice and browned. We're going to add the broccoli. And then we're just going to pour our sauce over it. You're supposed to have more soy sauce than that. Should I get more? Why not? Okay. And also another great way you save money here is that we use, if you guys have noticed, we use very similar items week after week. So we use a lot of soy sauce, we use a lot of olive oil, sesame oil, all kinds of vinegars. So the pantry items are really staples that we use week upon week. And I'm shutting this off, by the way. And if you can buy them in bulk, go to like a Costco, go to like a wholesale something or other, and just buy them in bulk and keep refilling, because we use them all the time, okay? So that's another great way, instead of buying like a bunch of small versions of soy sauce like I do weekly, which is silly, and I keep saying I should buy them in bulk, but I have yet to do it. But that's another huge way you could save a ton of money, because we really do reuse these things every single week, okay? So just keep that in mind. All right, soy sauce is in, a little sesame oil. We're gonna take that salmon out in just 1 minute. Sesame oil, more maple. We already had the maple from the salmon, so I figured instead of making you go out and buy something else, just use the same item. So that's another way we save a lot of money. I never want you running out for a million ingredients. So whenever you can repurpose same items or modify with something you have, so maybe for the salmon you didn't have regular white vinegar, but you just had apple cider, go right ahead. That'll be just as good. Okay, ginger powder I just put in there. Now we're gonna do some vegetable stock. And this is gonna be a really yummy, kind of like Chinesey kind of sauce. And then it's that cornstarch or that arrowroot, they really do the same thing, that is going to thicken this whole thing up. Yeah, so the oil and the garlic we're gonna be using to fry in the frying pan. Okay? And then the cornstarch or the arrowroot, you're gonna put that in now. Okay? You always wanna put a cornstarch or arrowroot into cold. Otherwise, it's gonna clump up on you and it's gonna look really gross and you're gonna get like clumps of yucky, chalky powder. Don't do it. Okay, so mix this into here and then we're gonna add, then we're gonna do the garlic in the pan. Okay, you could really add the garlic in here if you want, but it's better to fry the garlic a little bit in the frying pan. Okay, can everyone see? So we have our sauce ingredients. We're gonna save the oil is gonna go in the pan and we're gonna fry the meat. We're gonna get the garlic in there first though. So we have, let's see, nice amount of garlic. Again, you can modify if you don't like that much garlic. I love garlic. I'll just do that. Perfect. Okay, to cut garlic, you could just put it on your board and just smash it. You don't want to smash it too hard, then it really just like completely falls apart, but give it a good old smash. That one's not as pretty, so I'll get rid of you. Okay, and then it comes right out of these papers. Okay, these are such classic, yummy Asian flavors, the garlic, the sesame oil, the soy sauce. So good, so good. And you could feel good about feeding this to your kids. You know there's no MSG in it. You know you're cooking in healthy oils, nothing deep fried. So why not, right? And this is gonna be served with the cauliflower rice. If you don't wanna do cauliflower rice, you could do regular rice, or you could even make a batch of regular rice for your kids the day of if you wanna have cauliflower rice. So you have both options, it's totally your call. Improvise, modify, make it work for you. Yum, it smells so good. Okay, let's take our salmon out. So all you're gonna do is really gently, your salmon should feel firm now, beautiful. You're just gonna lift up, you see that salmon? I wish I could show you, hold on. Da-da-da-da. See that? So you're gonna take your salmon as gently as you can, lift it up and put it right into your pickling liquid, which is cold, the liquid, right? So you should have way more salmon than me. I just did a half a batch just because we're not gonna be here all week. Plus we go through a lot more food here because I'm always testing. Okay, I'm gonna put all those leeks in here. So you're just draining off that water, throw those leeks in there because they're gonna continue to season and flavor this amazing salmon. Oh my God, it smells so good. And then you're gonna serve this delicious salmon with that dill sauce. So this water you're just going to spill off. Now what's really cool also is that a lot of the oils and the fat that's normally in salmon, I feel like a lot of it boils off into this water and you're throwing it away. So I almost feel like healthier about eating it. So as you can see in this bowl, we just have the salmon. It's cooling in this cold liquid. Let it finish cooling, cover it up, store it, and you'll eat it on Wednesday, okay? Now, I have a large pan here with a spatula. Shift some things over. I'm gonna move this out of the way, let it start cooling. We're almost done. Let's see how much time it's been. It's been 29 minutes and we're already on our 6th item. Okay, we're almost done, y'all. Especially the dressings, all that stuff comes together so quickly. So get your pan nice and heated. Throw some oil in there. And as you'll notice, the recipes are written out in a very specific order. Okay, we do it according to what's gonna take the longest. So the sweet potatoes, those take the most amount of time. It takes like an hour. So that's why we throw that in there first. So there is a method to how these things are written out. Okay, so try to follow along because it really does help save you time in the long run. All the dressings are served at the end, which is, and the reason is because we want everything to cool while you're making the dressings, rather than like something coming out of the oven having to wait an hour to put it away. We do all of the hot things first, and then at the end we do the dressings because you don't need that time for them to cool. All right, so I just put like 2 tablespoons of olive oil into this pan. Okay, it's starting to smell so good. Garlic is the best. So my meat, I bought it pre-cut up like this. You could do it yourself as well, but like my store just sold like fajita meat, they call it. Okay, so it's in like little strips. Oh my God, that smells so good. So let the garlic go just for a couple minutes. It burns quickly, so keep your eye on it. Okay, we have our sauce standing by. That's gonna be that amazing, thick, delicious, amazing sauce. And we have our broccoli here. Okay, once you really start to smell that garlic and you see it starting to brown up a tiny bit, stop cooking it. Throw your meat in there, okay? So the meat, we're just gonna get that mostly brown for the most part. Okay, so we're for the most part cooking this meat right now. So you wanna work with a pretty big, wide pan here, lots of surface area. So you could brown this meat. You're gonna get it mostly cooked through, then you're gonna throw the broccoli in, and then you're gonna throw your sauce in. You're gonna continue to cook it and let it do its thing until it's all cooked through and the sauce is yummy and thick. And then all we're doing afterwards is making some cauliflower rice. So you should have your pot or your pan standing by, and then some bags of cauliflower rice. I mean, this stuff is so easy. Mine was defrosted, which is why it's leaking water, because it's been sitting out a little bit. But it's just rice cauliflower. If you could buy it store-bought, super easy. If you were making it at home, you could just take any cauliflower, throw it in your food processor. You've got cauliflower rice. It's such a great alternative. And honestly, I always, like, there's a few freezer staples that I just love having around all week long. Frozen peas, because my kids love them. So whenever I need like a last minute dinner side dish, I will just take out some peas. They literally cook themselves. So I'll either throw them in the warming drawer for a little bit or just throw them in a pan if I want. And then edamame is another really good one. Those also just steam up super quickly. My kids love them. It's always a great side dish. Lots of protein in there. It's also a great lunch item, so are the peas. So if I need a last minute lunch vegetable, it's just nice knowing that you have a vegetable always laying around in the house and it doesn't have to be fresh. It could be frozen. So it's just always there for you when you need it. Okay. And then riced cauliflower is another staple. So for lunch, during the week, either I'll eat some meal prep stuff or I'll make a salad with the leftover meal prep dressing, or if I have leftover quinoa, I'll make a yummy grain bowl. If I want like a 5-second lunch, I will literally take one of these bags, saute it in a pan, and melt sauce, melt cheese, and add some sauce to it. Season it with salt and pepper, and that is like my favorite lunch ever. I'll normally do that with like a side salad. So it's just so good, my favorite. All right, so it's mostly cooked through, not totally yet. You want to work on pretty high heat right now. All right, so I'm going to start opening up my broccoli, because this will also take a few minutes to cook. You don't want the broccoli to cook for too long. You want to leave it like a little underdone, because keep in mind you're going to be heating this up when you actually are serving it. So you don't want to let the broccoli go too long that it's like brown right now by the time you finish cooking it. You want to leave it pretty crisp and green, because then when you heat it a second time, it's going to continue cooking. So it'll likely be closer to brown by the time you're serving it, but you want to keep it as bright green as possible without being raw, if that makes sense. So for the most part, you want to cook this through. It could be a little bit pink in the center, and then just start getting your broccoli. And just as always, I mean, what's so annoying is that when you buy things pre-bagged, it always kind of comes in different sizes. So just like with those grilled vegetables, try to just break them apart so that they're really cooking at the same time, okay? You want things to be pretty even here. Oh, that's hot. Okay. Keep moving it around. Using a tong is like one of the greatest tools for this. Another thing you could do before you add the broccoli, if you had a lot of like grease in the pan, you could spill a lot of that off. I still maybe even do that. Okay. So feel free to just bring it over to your sink, spill off some of that oil from the meat. Just a good way to get rid of some excess oil if you are concerned about that. Why not, right? Anywhere I could like skim off some fat, why not? So continue cooking that. I have my other baggie of broccoli. You're going to kind of let those two things hang out in there for a little. It's going to be a full house in here. Oop, there are my green beans. I'm going to go check if they're ready. Otherwise, I'll keep them in there longer. But if they're done, I'm going to throw my tofu in. Let that start cooking. In Florida, we're living in Florida, I had 2 ovens. It was such a game changer. I mean, working one at a time is just so unproductive. If you have 2, use them and enjoy them. All right, go check your oven. Be sure that, yep, green beans are looking good. Even the sweet potatoes look like they're almost done, okay? Grab your towel, take out those green beans or the Brussels sprouts, whichever you chose to make. Again, you don't want to overcook anything too much because you're going to be reheating it again, right? Throwing my tofu in there. All right, let that go for about 40 minutes or so. Mix this all around, let everyone get to know each other. It's a full pan. Okay. And then the last thing we're going to do, once this is all kind of mixed together and the broccoli starts to cook ever so slightly, we're going to add that sauce, which is going to season all of this up, get it really onion flavored. You could season it with some salt, but I always wait to add the sauce and then you could taste it and season it once you know how much salt you need, because you're going to be adding soy sauce, so you may not need it, but everyone's salt preferences are different, so you could adjust accordingly. Okay. Oh my God, yum. How good does this look? This is why having a wok is a really great thing. I should really get one. I've actually been thinking about getting one for a while, and I think it's time. What's so great about a wok is because it's so big and it's so wide, you have a lot of surface area, and surface area is super important for crisping anything up and cooking evenly, because you want a lot of room for everything to do its thing, touch the surface, which gives it that golden exterior and color. So here we go. We have our sauce ingredients in there. Put that all in. All right, and you're gonna see, because you have that arrowroot or cornstarch, it's gonna start thickening up right away, doing its thing, and it's gonna look like your traditional like Chinese brown sauce. And you could use this sauce ingredient, the sauce recipe, for anything. So you could put any vegetable in here. So if you're ever looking for like a last minute dinner, just make that sauce ingredient, that sauce recipe, throw some peppers in here. You could saute some peppers and onions, then throw in a protein, and then make that sauce, and you have dinner in minutes. So it's really a very versatile recipe, okay? I'm lowering the heat a teeny tiny bit, so more of like a medium high. As you can see, the sauce, I wish we had close-ups on this. That's what they need. They need basically a human tripod so you could zoom in and see, but I'll show you in a minute. But just keep mixing this around. That sauce is starting to bubble up and thicken. You don't want to let it get too thick, but definitely let it thicken up, and oh my God, yum, because then it starts to coat the broccoli and coat the beef, and everything is just, do you see that? Sauce is nice and thick now. That broccoli, you see the broccoli is cooking, so everything is kind of like breaking down a little bit and shrinking, and oh my God, yum. All right, once that broccoli is like that bright green color, don't let it go anymore. Oh my God, this looks insanity. All right, now bring it closer so you can see. And then we're gonna finish up our last few things because we are almost done here and you've just prepped for the whole week. So check it out. Let's see if I can do this without burning myself. Ugh. Whoa, that looks so good. Oh my God, it smells amazing in here. Yum. So taste that right now if you'd like. Make sure it's good, doing its thing, and season it with some salt and pepper if you think it needs it, okay? Last two, a few more things. Okay, cauliflower rice. Then we're gonna make our dill pickle sauce. And then we make the tahini sauce, and then we're done. Okay, so I have 3 bags of this amazing cauliflower rice. Open that up. All we're doing is just sauteing this. You need like not even like tiny little bit of oil. I don't even really need it. I don't know why I add it. So cut these on open in this large-ish pan or pot. Okay, just get your cauliflower in there. Throw it on in. You could just put it in straight from the freezer. I let mine thaw out a little bit just because I was out and about while it was sitting. But you could just throw it straight in frozen. I do it just about every day. All right, all you're gonna do is take a little spatula and move it around, season it with salt, onion powder, garlic powder, and if you would like, you could put some scallions. I am not today because my store, or I think actually I forgot to order them. I don't know if they didn't have them, I didn't order them. So that's it, just season it with some salt, garlic powder, onion powder, and then we're done. Okay, easy. Mix it around. You're really just doing this. It's not even gonna get crispy, so you're really just cooking it just to heat it through and get all the flavors blended together. And then you're good. You're gonna be reheating it that night of anyways, so you're really good. You could even just heat it the night of and not even make it today. But I just like knowing that it's done, just in case you wanna bring it for lunch before you have it as a dinner. So that's it, cauliflower rice, all ready to go, done. Last two things, okay? The dill pickle sauce and the tahini sauce. So we have the dill pickle sauce, which we're gonna make right here using bubbies. I love them. I also just buy them because it's a huge bottle, and I use a little bit for the dill pickle sauce, and the rest I use for myself when I want a yummy, munchy, crunchy, super satisfying little snack. I love pickles. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna cut up our pickles. We need 5 or so pickles. Because I made half of the amount of the salmon, I'm just making half of this sauce, but feel free to do the full thing. Yum, I love these pickles to death. They're so perfect. They're so garlicky, I love it. So I'm just cutting them lengthwise into quarters. So they're super thin little, kind of like little strips, and then turning it around and running my knife through it so that they're just like little, tiny little pieces. I like having the little crunchy bits of pickles throughout the sauce, but I want it to be pretty small to mix into it nicely. So you could just go like this if you want, run your knife through it. Beautiful. Throw it into your storage container. Oh my God, that beef and broccoli smells damn good. All right, and then we have some mayo here. So again, I'm doing half of the recipe, but modify and switch it up as you please. I use a little bit of the pickle juice because it is so stinking good and it's so flavorful. And that's what kind of loosens it up, makes it more like a sauce rather than just like a thick mayo. And then I have some Old Bay seasoning here, which is just a nice spice blend. You can always look online and see what is actually in it. So you can make your own at home if you don't have it in your house. And then dill, which, I mean, I'm using basil, but if you can use dill, it's ideal here, like flavor-wise, but why not? Basil could totally work. Use what you got. All right, so again, run your knife through it. You just want something bright. You could even do parsley if you wanted to, but dill is really that classic pickle pairing. So like a dill pickle sauce is really ideal here. Super fresh and yummy. Okay, here we go. That's it. Season it with a little salt and pepper, but the Old Bay should be enough to season it. But always modify, taste, and go along the way. And look how good that looks. Yum. Give it a mix around. The color should be really pretty. Lots of pops of green. It'll be so good on your salmon. I basically ate the salmon with my sauce. It was so good. Okay, that's done. Lastly, we're gonna make our tahini sauce. So we just have a little cup or a container, whatever it is, and some more of that. Any herb you want, whether you want to use dill, parsley, cilantro, whatever you choose to use is all good. And we're using this sauce for 2 meals. It's gonna go over like the shakshuka with the vegetables if you want it, and it's also gonna go in the. It's also gonna go over those bowls that one night with the tofu. So I had water already in my cup here. If you didn't already have in there, put your water, put your tahini or tahina, same thing. All right, then we're adding a little bit of olive oil. Maple syrup, because again, we already have it, so why not use it as our sweetener? If you wanted to omit it, if you were like on a sugar-free diet, you can always do that. I have 2 limes here. Every lime has just different amounts of juice though. You just never know until you squeeze it and then you find out. So, but whatever you can use fresh lime, that alternative to fresh lime and lemon, like that stuff in the bottle is just kind of smells like cleaning fluid, right? That like artificial kind of lemon lime flavor, which I hate. Okay, so you see these weren't the juiciest limes. If you have one of those little, look at that, one of those little line thingies. Those like little citrus things that you go like this and it gets all the juice out. I have one, I'm just lazy now. So that's enough. Okay, beautiful. And then we have any herb that you want or that you have laying around in your house or the rest of that dill that you had from before. Grab your dill, parsley, cilantro, run your knife through that fresh herbs. You can also do this in an immersion blender if you want so that just all blends up really easily. You don't even have to do any cutting, but then you have another thing to wash. So it kind of depends what you would rather do. I already have a dirty knife and a cutting board, so I would rather just do it in there. And then we have 1 clove of garlic, and we're gonna just season with some salt. You can add some pepper if you want. I'm gonna get my garlic right now. You're just gonna take it, you're gonna pop it, and run your knife through it, and mince it. If you have 2 ovens, all your veggies should be just about done at the same time. If you don't, you should be kind of like swapping things out. And instead of using a sheet pan for the sweet potatoes, you could totally just throw them in that tin foil and throw them in the back of your oven rather than wasting a whole rack for them, as I mentioned before. And that way you could get more in there at a time. I still have to get my roasted veggies in there, but those are gonna take like 15 minutes, so that's fine. Okay, my friends, that is all. I'm gonna go wash my hands. We did this thing, okay? I didn't measure, so that is why I'm adding more tahini, because it needs to be thicker. So if ever your tahini sauce is not thick enough, add more tahini, because that is what is going to thicken it like crazy. So add a little bit at a time until it thickens up. If it's too thick, add some more either water or lemon juice. So that's just like a really good note for future reference. So you'll always know what to do, because tahini is like a really crazy thickener. Taste it. Oh my God. So good. Guys, you banged it out. Those were 9 items. I have a few things coming out of the oven in a couple minutes, but we literally went through this whole thing. We have the cauliflower rice, the green beans or Brussels sprouts, the pickled salmon, the beef and broccoli, the dill pickle sauce, the tahini sauce, the roasted vegetables, the sweet potatoes, and the tofu. Holy smokes, it's a lot of stuff. We banged it out in under an hour, as always. So I hope you guys enjoy this one. It's amazing. Go enjoy these flavors. Go to your store, buy yourself some Bubby's pickles. They're so delicious. I promise you, you're gonna love them. Guys, I hope you have an amazing week. I love you all. See you later. Thanks for joining the prep rally.